exactly is it that we do?
People want.
They have an update on the status of O's. There's also really bad news for with the NFL action ended, but when it's Jalen Jacoby, sometimes it turns. That's right, we go and decided this was going to be our last night in a crazy back and forth. Those Cardinals with Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, Jalen. What Cardinals?
Actually, coronate a furry. And his leadership and the respect that he's garnering, not in the football, when you add an all-pro receiver, Cliff Kingsbury system, Larry Fitzgerald, this young man has grown out to see that evolution and play Wilson, who basically was the shorter. They both played baseball. Them to show up on that stage and refreshing to see him become.
Early in this game, it did feel like the victory for the Seahawks. They would stay undefeated. To play a normal football game, there were mistakes, like Kingsbury kicking down on second down, kicking a field. Made some mistakes, and none bigger than overtime. Look at this pass. I mean, there's a minute left in overtime, and he throws a day. He had 3. I don't know if he's exactly think about Russell Wilson last night.
Going into this game, I told you that E-ball and Russell Wilson was the best. They make you pay for those. A lot of times, players are converted wide receiver. They didn't have hands. And so it's one thing to be in position. And those guys were making, and that's crucial when you try.
Baker was on his way to the cap, tracked him down with an X1. We would have been celebrating. It was the Kyler Murray leading. One thing that happened during this game that people are discussing, controversial. Our guy one-on-one on the left sideline, Kyler Murray let go of the ball. People are saying, I'm not so sure. Take a look at this. He's DeAndre Hopkins in one-on-one coverage.
He won because when you anguish, it's so many things that you cannot control in every minute. And he's in one-on-one coverage. Look back twice, look at him. Smoke would say, and that's great to see that. Imagine what somebody was watching. Deshaun Watson was thinking he got his bread.
Well, team left in the NFL. There were 2 big teams in the AFC, with the Steelers eventually themselves as the top team in the AFC. What do you like about this team right now in the season?
So there's so many players, baseball, basketball, and getting drafted by or playing. When you usually do that, that's bigger than you. The stability at coaching is in the conversation for best ball-winning quarterback that you draft. All of these players from within, Juju that you drafted, Washington, people that are a part of the fight. You look across the landscape of the NFL, Ben is still there and they're under. Brown and Bell have had multiple spots from being the best running backs to now contribute how fast the league comes at you. They're 6-0. The only undefeated.
Jason Claypool, you mentioned Juju Smith-Schuster, Washington. However, they don't just draft T.J. Watt. T.J. Watt and Bud on the line, in my opinion, but it in the backfield, blowing everything up, being after the ball, causing problems for Tannehill. Steelers really, truly do look that is ready to challenge the Ravens in the NFC at the end of the year. However, our attention to the Cleveland Browns. We have here has a torn ACL and will be kind of a freak accident that came. Coincidentally, after he was 22 for 23 with a spiked ball, and then he threw this ball in the end zone to win the game over Beckham Jr. How does this go forward?
The huddle with Baker Mayfield because he does. And Odell looks at him. Odell, it's a need from everyone. People's job. Catch of the season as a game wins a quarterback, Jacoby. And decide who I'm going to spray the cater to my number 1 receivers. For a guy that plays, that does happen for some of those quarterbacks category yesterday.
When you have a superstar receiver, and I'm calling that production with the Giants, that he's getting enough touches, are we running enough plays for him, are sort of burdened as a quarterback, you really spread. And he threw a great touchdown to just this sort of freed him up. He didn't. I'm not going to say better without Odell Beckham Jr. Beckham Jr., you are better than if you don't have some side benefits that come with him being gun covered. But one thing I do want to do, however, still the Bengals. Not only was this the Bengals, this miraculous touchdown that is a celebratory Monday and all. Let's not act like this is a contender in the AFC. On the gridiron, chaos on Saturday night as the Rays, but there was a Sunday night game and was good enough. This one.
When they win the World Series, an all-time great player, really having to do it as a dominant. Normally when great Andy Johnson and Kurt Schilling having to go late in the games and things like in both games are getting better than the second time. He gave up a couple of the way to get a home run and timely hit. Runs on runners in scoring position. Give the Dodgers a lot of credit. Give Kershaw crucial. The fourth inning, him trouble when he needed to, and then obviously that also worked out and to deck him off.
I love that. It was a little less than successful. Kershaw sniffs it out. He sees it in his periphery. Now, it said that I'm putting myself in Cash's position as the man there at the top step of the dugout, and then all of a sudden he bolts towards home with that he would do so. It's absolutely backing when he decided on his own to try a close game in the World Series.
Against the Dodgers, a story, they're going to hit home runs. You have to place. This is my Jackie. This is my time to last dance. You know he saw MJ. He's standing on third. He looks over to the dugout, and he's like, you know what? All of a sudden, when Kershaw, the lefty, turns, you can't see the runner. The first, and then all of a sudden, you did to do that walk of shame back to the dugout.
It was this thing right here. It was this here. That one that you just saw. That's the one where you can tell son or something when I catch his hand in the cookie jar. He should have walked to the Dodgers dugout and been like, you know what? I'm good. We don't have to discuss. They are the only team in World Series history players hit home runs, and we've only in this World Series.
Boom.
Their power them to be one win series championship. Jalen continue to be terrible, and also. The Detroit Port Jessica Manhattan and brought you Jacoby. Jalen, after the day, I felt that they would Washington football team. Well, guess what? Football team too. Now they were down in the game. Andy Dalton, Bostic, and it comes out of the Jalen. What do you think of the hit and the reaction of?
I'm not people that wanted to see the Dallas 50 hold me back moments. Reaction is that this team ain't us. You can look at their division. Team probably is going to make the playoffs, but that concussed quarterback is going to kill. Elliott still is yet to get going all-time highs. And I look at one person. You have to make the decision at the salary cap-driven sport. You took care of Zeke. Position in football is, and as a matter of fact, Jacoby, changed much. I know you want to look. These are their anchor as a performer. But the way with him on the sideline, $100 million to that same function has allowed Ron Rivera, who he's just a little bit familiar with. And then all of a sudden, you find on the Dallas Cowboys offense against a Cowboys team with those dudes over the next couple of years.
I'm glad you brought up Gibbs. Cowboys defense is so bad. They didn't just. Gibson wasn't even up. He primarily played wide receiver in 128 yards on. It is absolutely wild. And while the part are the Detroit will start at the end of the Todd Gurley had to do was try not to, but he fell in ball back to Matt Stafford and the line. And we know what happened there. Stafford had the ball, needed a touchdown in the brings the Lions. How does it feel to be a Lions fan?
I hated that for I was in Atlanta, Jacoby, chicken, cheering for Sin on my fantasy team down in the Detroit. And trust me, if Lions fan, it had me dreaming when I went to imagine if the NFC East, by national media, and they think it's for the ratings. When this show, if you want to talk about some squads, we'll be a pop team. That's what I was dreaming last night.
Some of the worst teams in the NFC, but now himself is one of the best, and that Tampa Bay Buccaneers handily. Tom Brady had 8 passing touchdowns, and it was deep now, Jalen Rose, because he's the quarterback and he's the legend. And there is a player who impacted Tom Brady, and he was on the other side of the ball.
They had a last name of White, and I tell you, safe. He was running as fast as he could, and that's the kind of football so very refreshing to see get ejected. And all Tampa Bay's defense, led by, deserves another opportunity to be the head coach. So it's offensively, make sure you recognize defense, Sue and reinventing themselves. Interception. Todd Bowles deserves to fail.
Jalen, Tom Brady, another GOAT, retire the Matt. In the what happened right for this? You're watching Jalen. We mentioned big game in the Big Ten on Saturday. Headed into Minnesota. It's stressful when they win, especially in big games. Had 35 points at halftime. You by your Wolverines performance.
Thank all of our Big Ten opponents. Basketball coach Clem Haskins, my bro Vashawn Leonard putting in work for the dog. Like Minnesota, we created a jug to feel like that they could compete against Big Brother, making them jump to hit it. That's all that is. That's all that is. If we lose to them, then that's a real issue.
Congratulations again, but Jalen, something else happened on Saturday that must of Khabib Nurmagomedov, and it was after the fight. AG and choked him out with his legs. He announced his retirement. Oh, Jalen, losing his father due to COVID complications.
It's emotional, it's painful. Man of integrity, be close to him, and was they made plans together, including race, and it was symbolic. And I think for him the way he did, but I salute him for going out circumstances.
We will be him.